Hey, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Faith in an Ever Changing World, Encouragement and Hope. I'm Janet Harley, your host, and it is my pleasure to have with me today Karen Moore. Karen is an author, and she's author of more than 100 books in the inspirational and devotional book categories, as well as over 20 children's books. And just this month, her book, our devotional prayers to strengthen your soul, is on the market. Karen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, Janet, what a pleasure for me to get to be here. So
Oh,
thank you for having me.
yes, yes.
Exciting.
And yeah, right after our short intro, we'll hear more from Karen Moore. Stay with us. And Karen, we're back.
Okay.
If you will, please share with us in this season, what has God given you to do and how is faith helping you do it?
Well, that is definitely the right question. I love the question. I think that he's given me an assignment that I have been working toward building and growing and understanding over
Hmm.
time. And writing books was certainly part of that calling. But I think there are a couple of big things that I feel even more impressed that I need to do now. One is telling God's story, right? I feel
Mm,
like that no matter how many ways we tell it, there's still somebody out there who hasn't heard it quite like
hmm.
that, who
That's
needs
right.
to hear it, who's
Yeah.
waiting to hear it, who actually is praying that somebody would tell them the story. And so, in my heart of hearts, whenever I get an opportunity to create a new book, part of my prayer for the reader is, Lord, let there be somebody who didn't get this before, who reads this and says, oh, I think I'm starting to see something here. I think
Yes.
I believe something is happening. So, I've loved that opportunity. And, by some grace of God, I've continued to be able to do that. But in this particular season, I feel even more actually like God is impressing on me. Okay, so, we come with a timeline I'm figuring out. And if there's a timeline in my world, then that means I really need to focus, right,
Yes.
on the thing that is important. And this is important, telling God's story
Yes.
and learning about Him, getting to know Him,
Yes.
maybe in ways that we never did before,
Mm.
and praying. Those are like the keys to what I really want to do. And so I blog because that's another avenue for me to
Yes.
have
Yes.
people,
Uh-huh.
come and
Mhm.
get an opportunity to just get another perspective. I'm not an in your face kind of person, but
Mhm.
I do like people to get another perspective and to realize that God is open to them. He
Yes.
loves them so much that he will just any little nugget that he can use, he will use to help them see,
Absolutely. Yes.
what
Hmm.
he has for them. So I think that's part of what I feel now. And speaking is actually something that I feel even more important for me to do again. I did it
Okay.
for a little bit before COVID, and then, of course, it shut most of us down that were doing
Yeah.
the speaking. I have an opportunity coming up in February 18th, and I'll be speaking on the topic of prayer. And I'm very excited about it.
Mm.
When I was praying to get to jump back into speaking, of course, my thought was maybe I could pray or speak to a prayer group or a women's group for a half an hour, or well, this is going to be a retreat, so it's 6 hours from
Oh my.
9 in the morning till 3. And I'm thinking, okay, God, you have such a sense of humor. Just jump me right in there. And I'm just praying for stamina
Yes. Strength.
and praying that there's a message in that talk that will work
Mm,
for every woman in that room. I want more than anything for them to leave there saying to themselves,
yes.
I really I really need to pray more. I really
Hmm.
need to figure out that this prayer thing is actually a big deal. And I don't know that I don't even know that I've been very good at it, even though I would call myself a prayer person.
Right.
But I would also say I have a lot to learn, and I look forward to this season of my life to actually dive in even deeper into that. So
Wow.
that's part of what I want to do now. And, how does faith help me with that? Well, wow. First of all, I couldn't do
Without
anything
faith.
without it. So, God is so gracious
Mm,
that he just shows up, right? He
he
has a
does.
way of letting us know we're on a track, that he's encouraging us to keep
Hmm.
going. And he's been blessing me with those things since I was a kid. And I don't know why exactly, because, I wasn't always a great kid, but apparently I was enough of a kid that wanted to know about him that he keeps letting me do this stuff. So,
Oh.
you know, I I started out, and I'll just tell you a quick story. I started out as a child in a home where we didn't do church, and we didn't
Hmm.
do prayer, and we didn't do the things that you might think because of the work I do that maybe I grew up this way. Well, no, not really. I wouldn't say that I had a family that didn't respect prayer, but we just didn't do it.
Sure.
And as a kid, maybe 6 or 7 years old, I remember going to my great grandmother's.
Mm,
And I always want to encourage grandmothers out there to realize what a difference they can make in this world
yes,
with their grandchildren.
definitely.
But anyway, went to my great grandmother's house on Sundays for dinner sometimes. And I realized that when we were at grandma's house, we'd always pray before dinner. But we didn't do that at our house, and I didn't know why.
How about that?
So at one point, when I was back at home in my room by myself, I just remember saying, okay, so I'm kind of worried about this because I said, God, I don't know how to pray. So would you teach me? And that was all I said because I didn't know how to do it. And 2 days, no kidding, 2 days later, these two ministers came knocking at the door of our house. Now, this wasn't easy because we lived out in the country and there probably wasn't a house, every half mile might have been another house. Why they knocked on our door? I mean, they could have done a lot more work in the
Yeah.
town or in a
Hmm.
city, but no, they're walking up this dirt road and they knocked on our door. And so mom opened the door, and I walked out of my bedroom at the very precise moment when one of them said, do you know the 4 steps of how to pray? And
Oh,
I was just blown away.
yeah.
I
Wow.
remember thinking, wow, that's how it works. You just ask God for things and He finds somebody to tell you the answer. And of course, I've learned a little bit since then, but it was the beginning of me realizing that there was this being, maybe the hound of heaven, as some have called God, who wants us to know He's there. And
Wow.
I love that He steps in and says, here's an opportunity, here's
Yes.
something that you could learn and something
Oh,
you could do. So,
wow. That's powerful. That's thank you, Karen, for sharing that. And I
you're
do want you, if you could, to show your book.
oh,
Um,
okay.
yes,
All
I
right.
think you've got a couple of books you'd like to show
Okay.
us. So if you would do that,
Well, this one is called Prayers to Strengthen Your Soul. Let's see,
yes.
are you seeing that okay? Prayers
Yeah.
to Strengthen Your Soul. It was published by Broad Street Publishers. Uh,
Mm.
it will be out February 7th. It
Well,
releases.
it's
And
already, yeah, it's yeah,
so
already
it's
about this
on
month.
Amazon. You can find it there, and if you happen to still have a Christian bookstore, it should show up there. But it is a 365 daily prayer opportunity to
Mm.
help anyone just kind of get started,
Yeah.
with the day,
Hmm.
and kind of talk to God about something special. And
Yes.
um, I just I just love having a chance to do that. And I tried very hard in that book to create prayers on all different kind of levels, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we might respond to that.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think you have one more that
I
you'd
do
like to
have actually one more. Thank you. I have one that came out actually a couple years prior to this with Thomas Nelson, HarperCollins, and it's called "It's Still Possible."
Oh.
And this book is 100 readings for any of us to try to, who might feel like, oh, I guess I've done everything I was supposed to.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
I don't even know if there's much else I can do. It's a reminder that, if we're still breathing and our heart's still interested in doing more, God will work with us and we can get it done.
Oh. Well,
So
you are a gifted writer. You're
thank
a
you
gifted writer,
so
Karen,
much.
and so enjoy in your devotionals. And but I do want to put up some information in case someone would like to contact you or
Okay,
connect with you.
sure.
If you'd like for Karen to come and speak, Karen Moore, author.com. And then her email is Karen at KarenMooreAuthor.com. Thank you so much for being with me today, Karen, and for sharing your new season and what God is has asked you to do. And thank you so much. And thank you all for watching. I would like to give a shout out to Creative Motion Network and Abundant TV. They are great networks for you and your family. Have faith and look up, friends, where our help comes from. Bye. God bless.
Thank you, Janet.